The chow's hand strikes, and Daenerys' falls, blood staining the silk. The wedding night that was meant to forge an empire shatters it instead. There is only a rejected queen, a dead brother, and a throne that will require burning the world to claim. Everything you think you know about Westeros, it never happened. The night is dark, yes, but full of terrifying possibilities. We begin in Pentos, at the wedding feast. Khal Drogo sits like a statue carved from bronze and violence. His eyes, black as pitch, regard the pale girl beside him with the interest one might show a horse, perhaps even less. For a horse has value. Daenerys Targaryen trembles. 13 years of exile have taught her the dangerous language of men's faces, and this one promises nothing but contempt. Across the fire, Viserys watches with a smile as bright as madness. He is already counting Dothraki screamers, already visualizing himself on the Iron Throne. But the Beggar King is blind to what his sister sees so clearly. Then Drogo speaks. His voice rumbles like distant thunder. She is too small, too weak. This is what the dragon's spawn offers me. A broken thing. Illyrio Mopatis goes pale, his jewels suddenly looking cheap in the dying firelight. Tries to stammer a defense, reminding the great cowl of her bloodline. But Drogo stands a movement that is liquid and predatory. I care nothing for dead dragons, he sneers. Tell the Beggar King I will not have her. Let him find another fool. The feast falls silent. 40,000 warriors watch their Kaal reject the pale-haired girl. Some laugh. Others simply turn away, already losing interest. But Viserys' face twists purple, turning to red, red returning to purple. You dare? He screams. You dare refuse a Targaryen? His hand goes to his sword. It is a bad idea, terrible idea. The Blood Riders move before Drogo even shifts his weight. Kothos Eric whispers from its sheath. Haga and Kohalo flank him like wolves, but it is Drogo who reaches him first. His hand catches the Beggar King's throat, lifting him until his feet kick helplessly at the air. You are no dragon, Drogo growls. You are a screaming child. The Dothraki roar with laughter. This is entertainment. This is how the evening improves. Illyrio tries to intervene, but he is too slow, too late with men like these. Drogo's other hand moves to his belt. The crowd presses closer, bloodthirsty and eager. Daenerys does not scream. She has watched death from palace windows in Bravos and doorways in Lys. Death is an old companion for exiled princesses. She does not look away either. The molten gold, when it comes, is almost beautiful in the way it catches the firelight. The way Viserys' screams turn to gurgles, and then ... silence. A crown for a king, Drogo mutters. He drops the body, wiping his hands on his vest, as if the mere touch of the corpse has dirtied him. Then he looks at Daenerys, really looks at her. She hasn't run. She hasn't fainted. She simply stands there, silver hair catching the moonlight. Violet eyes reflecting the flames, small, broken, but not screaming. Something flickers across the chow's face. It's not love, never love, but perhaps ... curiosity. The girl may stay, he decides. As servant to my Blood Riders' wives, she will earn her food, or she will starve. He walks away, and the wedding feast collapses into chaos. Jorah Mormont appears at Daenerys' elbow, the knight's face grave. Princess, we need to leave now. Before they change their minds about letting you live, where would we go? Her voice is small, lost. It's anywhere but here. In the confusion, they slip away. Illyrio provides a horse and coin, his guilt forcing a final kindness, though not enough to risk Dothraki blades. By dawn, they are miles from the Khalasar. Daenerys hasn't spoken since they fled. She just rides, hands white-knuckled on the reins, eyes focused somewhere far away. Jorah watches her, wondering what dark thoughts now fill that silver head. Here is the rewritten script. I have smoothed out the jagged phrasing to create a more atmospheric cinematic flow, focusing on the emotional weight of the characters' journeys. She is thinking about fire, about dragons. Her mind drifts to the dreams she held as a child before the weight of exile made her small. Her reality, however, is bleak. Her brother is dead. Her husband that never was has rejected her. She owns nothing but the clothes on her back and a chest containing 3 stone egg trinkets Illyrio's servant simply forgot to take. But she is alive. And in this world, being alive means you are dangerous. Across the narrow sea, the air is heavy with different ghosts. In the throne room of King's Landing, Ned Stark stands before Robert Baratheon. Jon Arryn's body is barely cold in its tomb, yet the handspin already feels heavy in Ned's palm. "I need you, Ned," Robert pleads. "The realm needs you." The king's voice carries the crushing weight of years of a crown that doesn't fit, battles lost to wine and women. He is Ned's friend, his brother in all but blood. Ned wants to refuse. He yearns to return north where winter is honest and honor still matters. But he looks at Robert and sees something he never expected. Fear. Real fear. "What's wrong, Robert?" "What's happened?" The king waves the servants and guards away. When the room is finally empty, he speaks the truth. Cersei's planning something. Jon was investigating the royal children there. ... Legitimacy. The word tastes like ash in his mouth. He died before he could tell me what he found. Ned's blood runs cold. Legitimacy. Golden hair. Jaime's smirk. "You think... ... double quotes. I think my children aren't mine," Robert admits, drinking deep from his cup. "I think the Lannisters have been playing a longer game than any of us knew. In Pentos, a dragon queen is born from rejection. In King's Landing, a storm begins to brew that will drown them all. But neither player knows the other exists, yet the road to Qarth is long and bleeding. Daenerys and Jorah travel initially with merchants and sellswards, anyone who will take coin for protection. But Jorah's money runs out after 2 weeks. After that, they travel alone. Daenerys learns the brutal arts of survival. She learns to steal. She learns to hide. She learns that pretty girls with silver hair attract the wrong kind of attention. She shears off her hair, dyeing the stubble brown with mud and tree bark, dressing like a boy. It helps. Sometimes, they are turned away at the gates of Vis Dothrak. Without a Chel's blessing, the Dosh Khaleen won't even look at her. In Lassar, they are forced to watch a Khalasar rape and pillage a village. Jorah pulls her back before she can do something stupid, something brave and doomed. "You can't save everyone, princess," he warns. "I'm not a princess anymore." "Then what are you?" She doesn't answer. She doesn't know. 3 months pass, then 4. They reach the Red Waste, where the sun bakes their skin and water becomes more precious than gold. Even Jorah, the old bear, grows weak. The fever takes him, burning hot beneath the indifferent desert stars. Daenerys builds a fire. She tends to him, watching him sweat and shiver, listening as he mutters about bears and a home he can never return to. That night, alone in the dark with a dying knight and 3 stone eggs, something breaks inside her. Or perhaps, something awakens. She places the eggs into the flames. She doesn't know why. She just knows she must. Then she steps into the fire herself. The pain is exquisite. Then it is nothing. Then... What is everything? When dawn breaks, Jorah wakes to find her sitting amidst the cooling ashes. She is naked, alive, and smiling. And she is not alone. Coiled in her arms are 3 dragons, small as cats, black, green, gold. "I am Daenerys Stormborn," she tells him, her voice forged in steel. "And I will take what is mine." We realize now that the eggs were never just stone. They were waiting for heat, for blood, and above all for belief. Magic has not just returned to the world. It has returned angry. Meanwhile, in King's Landing, Ned Stark is following the trail of a dead man. Jon Arryn's final words point him to a Buca Massive, dusty tome cataloging every noble birth in Westeros for the last 300 years. As Ned turns the pages, the pattern screams at him. Every Baratheon recorded in history had black hair, dominant, strong, always. Yet Robert's children, Joffrey, Myrcella, Tommen shine with the golden curls of the Lannisters. Ned's gut twists. To even think this is treason. But truth rarely cares for a man's comfort. He confronts Cersei in the Gods Would a move that is as honorable as it is stupid. "You have to leave," he insists. "Take your children. Go to Casterly Rock. I'll tell Robert you fled before I could. You're giving me a chance?" Cersei laughs, a sound sharp and bitter. "You stupid honorable fool. You think this is about mercy? She signals, and the shadows move. These aren't the gold cloaks of the City Watch. They are Lannister men. I think Cersei continues coolly that you just committed treason. It's threatening the queen, suggesting her children are bastards. These men heard everything. Ned reaches for his sword, but hesitation is fatal in this city. He is too slow, ways too slow when honor holds the reins. They drag him to the black cells beneath the Red Keep, while Robert hunts in the woods, oblivious. By the time the king returns, everything will be different. That night, Cersei sits the Iron Throne with Joffrey at her side. She looks regal, dangerous, a lioness who has finally tasted blood. Ned Stark is a traitor, she announces to the gasping court. He plotted to steal my son's crown, to murder the royal family. His head will roll for this. In the dark of the dungeons, Ned realizes his mistake. He gave Cersei time. Time to prepare, and time to spin her story. Honor is about to get him killed. Word travels fast, even across the water. In a Pentoshi tavern, Daenerys hears of Stark's arrest. The dragons are hidden beneath her cloak, small enough to conceal, yet large enough to kill if needed. Jorah, his fever finally broken, looks at her differently now. He sees that the frightened girl has been burned away by the desert. The North will rise, Jorah predicts. The Starks are loved. Their bannermen won't let this stand. And what has that to do with us? Everything, he urges. If the Seven Kingdoms tear themselves apart, you have an opportunity, not to conquer, but to be invited. Daenerys considers this. She has learned to think this way: cold, strategic. We need an army first. Qarth is close, Jorah replies. They have wealth, power. We can trade for soldiers. Trade with what? She asks. I have 3 dragons the size of cats and a dead brother's memory. Jorah offers a grim smile. In Qarth, that's more than most. 2 days later, they sail. The ship's captain studies Daenerys, trying to place her. Her silver hair is returning. Her violet eyes are hard, and she holds a proud bearing despite her ragged clothes. You're Valyrian, he states. It isn't a question. She corrects him. The name still holds weight, fear, respect, and a dead glory that refuses to stay buried. And pray your dragons grow fast, girl, the captain warns. The world is about to need them. Ahead, rising from the desert like a jeweled dream, waits Qarth. Qarth is a city of walls carved with murals of ancient glories, guarded by gates that open only for the worthy. Inside, merchant princes trade in silk, spice, and secrets, but for now, they will not let her in. Xaro Shondaxos finds her at the sealed gates. He is bald, perfumed, and dripping wealth from every finger. His eyes calculate her worth before his smile even finishes forming. A Targaryen. In Qarth, he muses, how delicious. Open the gates, she demands. I could. But what would you offer in return? She doesn't offer gold. Instead, she shows him dragon, just a glimpse, black scales catching the sunlight, eyes glowing like molten rubies. Xaro's smile freezes for a heartbeat, then widens again. It is genuine now. Greedy. Oh, he purrs. I think we can do business. The Governing Council, the 13, meets in a chamber of mirrors where every word reflects 1,000 times, and every expression is multiplied into infinity. They want the dragons. All of them. They offer gold, ships, soldiers, everything except the one thing Daenerys truly needs: respect. You are children's toys, Pyat whispers. The warlock's lips are blue with the shade of the evening. His eyes focused elsewhere, seeing things that aren't there, or perhaps things that are, though grow. Daenerys counters. Will you? He asks. Little girl playing at queen? Where is your army? Your gold? Your claim? She stands tall. Beneath her cloak, the dragons stir, growing, always growing, fed on scraps and Jorah's kills. They are hungry, and so is she. My claim is fire and blood, she declares. My army is 3. My gold is worthless until I make it matter. Silence stretches through the room until Xaro laughs. Like her. She has teeth. Not all of the 13 agree, but enough of them do. Years given a house, servants, and security, not out of kindness, but out of curiosity. They want to see what she becomes. And in truth, ... so does she. In King's Landing, the sun sets on the Baratheon reign. Robert returns from his hunt with a boar's tusk buried in his belly. Eyes. Slowly, messily, cursing the animal, the wine, the gods, cursing everything. Before the end, Ned is brought before him, chained and beaten but alive. Ned, the king rasps. Gods, what happened? Cersei. The children, Ned whispers, the truth heavy in the air. Robert, they're not, I know. Blood froths on Robert's lips, red and terrible. I figured it out. On the hunt. Too late. Always too late. He grabs Ned's collar, pulling him close with his fading strength. Save my daughter Myrcella. She's the only one worth saving. Get her out. Promise me, Ned. I promise. Robert dies, and the realm holds its breath. Joffrey takes the throne. He is 13 years old, cruel, stupid, and Cersei's son, through and through. His first act as king is to order the execution of Eddard Stark. No trial, Joffrey announces from the Iron Throne. Traitors get steel, not words. Sansa begs. She pleads. She promises him anything, her voice cracking with desperation. But Joffrey only laughs. Watch then, he sneers. Watch your father die. On the steps of the Great Sept, the crowd surges. Gold cloaks hold down the man who bent no knee to tyrants. Seer Ilan Payne raises ice, the stark ancestral greatsword and irony that tastes like poison. Arya watches from the crowd, small and hidden. She sees her father kneel. Then she feels Yaren, the Night's Watch recruiter, grab her collar and pull her into his chest. Don't look, he commands roughly. Don't make a sound. Not if you want to live. The sword falls. The North remembers. And miles away, a raven lands in the hands of Robb Stark. The parchment trembles in his hands. The words are impossible, yet there they are in black ink. Father dead, sisters captive. Joffrey crowned. In a single heartbeat, everything has gone to hell. Call the banners, he tells Maester Luwin. His voice is steady, betraying none of the rage boiling beneath his skin. All of them. My lord, the old man hesitates, looking at the boy he helped raise. You are not yet called them, Robb snaps. Now, Catelyn enters the room. She takes one look at her son's face, and she knows. She simply knows. How? She whispers. Beheaded? Robb replies, the words tasting like bile. On Joffrey's orders, for treason they say he committed. She doesn't cry. She can't. There is too much to do, and too many children still in danger to afford the luxury of grief. What will you do? I will march south, he vows. I will free our family. And I will kill everyone responsible, and if the realm tears itself apart, then let it burn, he says, eyes hard as flint. They killed him, mother. The Lannisters murdered father, and so the North rises. The banners of Winterfell act as a beacon, joined by the Umbers, the Karstarks, the Mormonts, and the Glovers. 20,000 men assemble a force, growing by the hour. They march south not just as an army, but as winter given form. Robb Stark is only 15. He has never commanded men in battle, never led an army into the fire. But it doesn't matter. The North remembers. And the North is furious. At the Twins, Walder Frey watches the host pass from his high towers. He calculates. He waits. He has survived 80 years, not by being brave, but by choosing his sides very carefully. This side looks promising, young, angry, righteous, but Walder Frey is patient. He'll wait a little longer. He needs to see which way the wind blows before he opens his gates. That has always been the Frey prerogative. Miles away, beneath the hotter sun, Daenerys trains her dragons. Drogon grows the fastest. He is already the size of a small dog, breathing real fire now, not just smoke. He is hungry, always hungry. Rhaegal and Viserion follow, green and gold shadows, smaller but learning quickly. She teaches them to hunt, to fly, to obey, mostly because dragons aren't pets. They aren't slaves. They're fire-given wings, and as Daenerys is learning, you don't command fire, you channel it. Jorah watches her work, witnessing the transformation in real time. She is shifting from girl to woman, and from woman to something else. You need soldiers, he tells her one evening. Dragons alone won't take Westeros. I know, she admits. But who follows a beggar with beasts? People who want what you have, Jorah says. Power, promise, revenge. She considers this. Karth is full of people desperate for exactly those things. Dario Naharis arrives 2 weeks later. He is a Sellsword captain of the Second Sons, smirking, dangerous and charming as poison. You're hiring, he drawls. I have no gold, she replies flatly. Don't need gold. Just promise me that when you take your throne, I get a castle. I don't have a throne. Yet. His smile widens, flashing white teeth. That's why it's a gamble. And I like gambling. The Second Sons join her cause. 2,000 blades. It isn't much, but it is a start. Word spreads, and other Sellswords follow Stormcrows, windblown. Men with nothing to lose and everything to gain. She doesn't pay them in gold. She pays in promises. In vision, in fire. They follow her because she is mad enough to believe she can actually win. And in this world, sometimes madness is more valuable than sense. Back in Westeros, war comes to the Riverlands like a plague. Tywin Lannister moves from Casterly Rock with 30,000 men. His forces are disciplined, brutal, and led by the most dangerous tactical mind in the Seven Kingdoms. He marches to meet Robb Stark at the Green Fork. He expects a terrified boy. He expects an easy victory. Tywin Lannister expects an easy victory, but he gets something else entirely. Robb refuses to fight on Tywin's terms. Instead, he sends a decoy force under Roose Bolton, 2,000 men sent to make noise, draw attention, and ultimately to die bravely. While Tywin is distracted, Robb takes the bulk of his strength at him, fast and men. West, they move fast, quiet, and dangerous. They catch Jaime Lannister completely unaware at Riverrun, where the Kingslayer commands 15,000 men besieging the Tully stronghold. He never sees Robb coming. The Whispering Wood earns its bloody name that night. Northern cavalry crashes through the Lannister lines, silent and lethal. Grey Wind, Robb's direwolf, isn't just a pet. He tears through the enemy ranks like fury given teeth. Jaime Lannister fights with the desperation of a cornered lion, cutting down 5 Northmen before they finally drag him from his horse. By morning, Riverrun is free, the Kingslayer is in chains, and half his army lies dead or scattered. Tywin receives the news at the Green Fork, his son captured, strategy ruined. He looks to his brother Kevon, his composure barely holding. This boy, he admits, this Stark boy, has his father's honor, but his uncle's instincts. What will you do? Kevin asks. What I always do, Tywin replies, the arrogance of 40 years hardening his voice. Win, eventually. But for the first time in his life, Tywin Lannister tastes doubt. In King's Landing, Tyrion arrives as Hand of the King, sent by his father to control Joffrey before the Boy King destroys the realm. He walks into absolute chaos. Sia's paranoid, Joffrey is cruel, and the city is starving while Stannis gathers strength at Dragonstone. We need allies, Tyrion tells the small council. The north is lost. The Riverlands burn. Stannis will come for us. We need friends. We have the reach, Pycelle croaks, his voice shaking. Margaery Tyrell is betrothed to a golden-haired sociopath who murdered Ned Stark on a whim. Tyrion interrupts. Yes, a wonderful alliance. Littlefinger interjects, fingers steepled, eyes calculating. There's another piece on the board, rumors from Essos, a Targaryen girl. With dragons are dead, Pycelle dismisses. These ones breathe fire. I have spies in Karth. They've seen them. Tyrion pours himself wine, drinking deep and wishing he were already drunk. How big? Small, but growing. And she's gathering an army. Wonderful, Tyrion mutters. 3 wars isn't enough. Now we have dead dragons coming back to life. He files the information away to Daenerys. Targaryen, dragons, everything old becoming new again. But right now, the immediate threat is much closer to home. Stannis Baratheon sails for King's Landing with justice in his heart and a massive fleet at his back. His brother is dead. A false king sits on the throne, and retribution demands blood. The Blackwater burns. Tyrion's wildfire paints the bay in green flames, consuming ships, men, and hope alike. The battle is brutal and desperate. Tyrion leads from the walls, his defensive chain becoming legend, but eventually, the numbers tell. Stannis has more men, more ships, and more determination. Just as the city teeters on the brink of collapse, the horizon changes. Tywin Lannister arrives with the full might of House Tyrell. 40,000 men Renly's ghost army. Now Margaery's suitors hit Stannis from the rear. They break his lines and send him fleeing back to Dragonstone with only a fraction of his forces. It is a victory costly and bitter, but a victory nonetheless. Joffrey Preen's taking the credit and naming himself the hero of the Blackwater. Margaery plays her part perfectly. Beautiful, sweet, and deadly as a Tyrell thorn. The realm stabilizes briefly, barely. But in the north, the tragedy deepens. Robb Stark wins every single battle, yet somehow he is losing the war. His men are tired, supplies are dwindling. And as winter comes, Roose Bolton begins to whisper poison in the young wolf's ear. We cannot win, Bolton warns.
Yes.
Only survive. Robb Stark refuses to quit. He can't. Not while his sisters remain hostages in the capital. Yet the reality is undeniable. Everything is falling apart, slowly but surely. And then the game changes. The dragons arrive. Daenerys' fleet is modest 20 ships carrying 6,000 sellswords, but her true power flies above. The dragons have grown to the size of horses now. They can fly for hours, breathing fire hot enough to melt stone, capable of killing with surgical precision or unleashing absolute devastation. She has learned to ride Drogon, forging a mental bond where she feels his hunger and rage as her own. They are mirrors of one another, dragon and rider, fire and blood. Where do we land? Jorah asks her. She studies the maps of Westeros, looking at a 7 kingdoms currently tearing itself apart. Dragonstone, she decides. Stannis is weak. We take his castle, his fleet, and his claim that makes you an enemy to everyone, Jorah warns. I'm a Targaryen, she replies coldly. I was born an enemy. They sail at dawn. The dragons circle overhead, hunting, while the sailors below watch with a mixture of awe and terror. Daenerys stands at the prow, silver hair unbound, violet eyes fixed on the west. I am the storm, she whispers to the wind. The first and the last. Dragonstone is a Valyrian fortress. Historically impregnable to assault unless, of course, the attacker has dragons. Stannis Baratheon watches them approach. Beside him stands Melisandre, the Red Priestess, the Shadowbinder, the believer in prophecy. But as she sees the beasts in the sky, her faith shifts. She has dragons, Melisandre observes. I see them. You should kneel. Stannis' jaw tightens. I bow to no one, especially not a child with stolen beasts. They're not stolen, she corrects him, her voice devoid of shame. They're hers. She is Azor Ahai reborn. You said I was. I was wrong, she states simply. The flames showed me the truth. She is the promised one. Stannis turns to look at the woman who promised him the world. The woman who gave him nothing but ash. Get out. She doesn't move. You cannot fight her, Stannis. Your men are few. Hers are many. She has dragons. Yes, I noticed. He draws his sword, Lightbringer, a magic blade that is useless against true fire. Out, or I will throw you from the walls myself. Melisandre leaves, but her words linger in the cold air. When Daenerys' fleet arrives, Stannis stands ready with 500 men, the last of his loyal forces. Daenerys lands Drogon on the beach, dismounting and walking toward the castle gates with the confidence of ownership. It is, after all, the ancestral seat of House Targaryen. Lord Stannis, she calls out. I am Daenerys Stormborn. I've come home. This is my castle, he retorts. By right of conquest, it was your castle. Now it's mine. You have 2 choices. Bend the knee or burn. Stannis laughs, a bitter, hard sound. You sound like your father. It's the Mad King. All Targaryens end the same. My father burned men for pleasure, she says, unblinking. I'll burn you for defiance. There's a big difference. To emphasize the point, Dragon roars. The sound echoes across the island, shaking the stones and making grown men whimper. Yet Stannis stands firm. I will not kneel, then you will die. It is Sir Davos who steps forward, the Onion Knight, loyal, brave, and ever practical. Your Grace, he pleads, stepping between his king and the dragon. Please, she has dragons. We have pride. Pride is poor armor against fire. Stannis surveys his men, seeing the exhaustion etched into their faces, the desperate. Silent hope that someone, anyone, will finally make the sensible choice. He has spent years doing the right thing, the hard thing, fighting for a throne that never wanted him. Perhaps it is time to stop. He drops to one knee, not bowing his head, but meeting her gaze directly. I bend the knee, he says, his voice rough, but not out of fear, out of sense. You have dragons. I have duty. Perhaps together we serve the realm better than apart. Daenerys studies him. She sees steel beneath the pragmatism, sees a useful ally, and potentially a dangerous enemy. Rise, Lord Stannis, she commands. Serve me well. I have need of men who value duty. What would you have me do? Help me take my throne, she says. The one your brother stole. Stannis offers a ghost of a smile. Gladly. News travels fast when it is this bad. In King's Landing, Varys delivers the report personally. Dragonstone has fallen. Daenerys has dragons. The threat is no longer a rumor, it is on their doorstep. Tyrion responds by drinking heavily. Cersei screams. The Reach responds first. Olenna Tyrell, the Queen of Thorns, pens the reply personally. Dragons or no dragons, my granddaughter will be queen. Send your forces to Dragonstone. Destroy this pretender, or I will. Tywin acts immediately. He assembles an army of 50,000 men, the largest force raised since Robert's rebellion. They march east, prepared for war against fire and blood. But what they are not prepared for is Robb Stark. While the lions look east, the young wolf receives word of the Dragon Queen. Beside him, Grey Wind lifts his head, sniffing the air as if sensing the shift in magic. Dragons, Robb muses. Real dragons. In Westeros, his mother looks worried. This complicates things. No, Robb corrects her. It simplifies them. We were losing, Mother. Fighting 3 fronts with 1 army. Now, there's another player. One the Lannisters fear. You'd ally with the Targaryen? After what her father did to your grandfather? Her father was mad, Robb argues. She's not. And right now anyone fighting Lannisters is my friend. He makes a decision. He sends Theon Greyjoy as an envoy, a choice that is foolish, trusting, and ultimately doomed. Theon doesn't bring ships. He brings betrayal. He sails to the Iron Islands, plots with his father, and seizes Winterfell. When the news reaches Robb at River Run, his home stolen, his brothers presumed dead, the young wolf dies. That day, he becomes something else. Something harder, colder. We march north, he declares. Kill the Greyjoys. Then we march south and kill everyone else. But in the shadows, Roose Bolton has other plans, he whispers to Walder Frey. He corresponds with Tywin Lannister. The Red Wedding is being arranged. Meanwhile, Daenerys' power swells. Stannis' loyalist sells words from Essos, Dothraki, who followed Jorah's letters home. Anyone willing to fight for dragons rallies to her banner. 10,000 strong and growing. But she knows she needs more. She needs the realm to see her as a savior, not a foreign conqueror. The Starks' Jorah suggests one evening they fight the Lannisters. They lost their father to Joffrey. They would ally with you. Daenerys is skeptical. Would they? I am Rhaegar's sister. The Rhaegar who kidnapped Lyanna Stark. Jorah looks at her intently. You're not Rhaegar.
Show them that.
She considers the board before her: strategy, politics. The deadly Game of Thrones that chewed up and spat out her brother. But Daenerys is not Viserys. She plays the game better than he ever could. Send word to Robb Stark, she commands. Tell him I offer an alliance. I offer his justice in exchange for my throne. The Raven flies north, carrying a scrap of parchment that holds both hope and danger. Everything now balances on the edge of a knife, and then history breaks. The Red Wedding never happens. Robb receives Daenerys' offer the very night he is meant to feast at the twins. But outside the hall, the omens are screaming. Grey Wind warns him, howling, scratching frantically at the doors, refusing to enter the keep.
Side Catelyn sees it too.
She notices Roose Bolton's men positioned strangely in the shadows, notices the phrase avoiding her gaze. "We're leaving," Robb announces, his hand already on his sword. "Now, but my Lord Roose protests, feigning confusion. The marriage can wait," Robb snaps. "My wolf doesn't lie." We ride north. They escape, but barely. Bolton and Frey's soldiers pursue, attempting to spring the trap before it's fully set. But Northmen are faster, they are angrier, and above all, they are desperate. By dawn they are safe, and the betrayal is exposed. Our Roose Bolton and Walder Frey die 3 days later. Stark justice, delivered by dire wolf jaws. The North remembers. And now, finally, the North is united. When Daenerys' envoy arrives to formalize the offer, Robb accepts. "Tell your queen," he says to Jorah Mormont, his voice grim. "Tell her the North fights beside her. But know this. After the Lannisters fall, we remain independent." "She may not agree to that," Jorah warns. "Then we'll discuss it," Robb replies evenly. "Over wine, not blood, the alliance forms. Dragon and wolf, fire and ice. It is the very nightmare Tywin Lannister has feared for decades. Tywin prepares for war. His armies mass at Harrenhal's 70,000 men, comprising every Lannister banner and every sworn sword he can buy or bully. Yet, he knows the math is against him. Daenerys and Robb combined field close to 50,000 men, plus 3 dragons. But Tywin has never lost. And he doesn't intend to start now. He sends for Tyrion, needing his son's mind, his cunning, and his cynical clarity. "How do we beat dragons?" Tywin asks. Tyrion studies the maps, pouring wine to lubricate the gears of his mind. "We don't fight them," he concludes. "We make them fight each other. Explain." Daenerys wants the Iron Throne. Robb wants independence. Those goals eventually conflict, Tyrion points out. "We simply force them apart." "How?" "We offer Robb everything he wants," Tyrion says, the plan forming in the dark. "Independence, sisters, safety. We offer it all in exchange for neutrality." "That leaves us fighting dragons alone," Tywin counters. "Yes, but Robb's army is the larger tactical threat. Dragons burn bright, but they are 3 beasts. Robb commands 20,000 men who know the land better than we do. Tywin considers it. The logic is sound, brutal, practical, do it. The envoy rides north, carrying offers wrapped in lies. Politics, always politics. Robb receives Tywin's offer. It is everything he fought for, handed over on a silver platter. No strings attached, except the betrayal of his new ally. His war council erupts into argument. "Take it," the great Jon Umber urges, slamming his fist on the table. "We've bled enough for southern wars. Let the dragon girl fight her own battles." "It's a trap," Catelyn counters, her voice cutting through the noise. Tywin Lannister doesn't surrender, and he doesn't give gifts. He is buying time. Robb looks at his mother. In her eyes he sees not just fear, but wisdom, the hard truth of a woman who has lost too much. He turns back to the envoy, his voice low and dangerous. "Send the envoy back," Robb commands. "Tell Tywin I remember what his grandson did to my father. Tell him the North will see Joffrey's head on a pike." Catelyn presses him, her voice tight and Daenerys. "Will you truly fight for a Targaryen throne?" "I'll fight beside her," Robb clarifies, eyes hard. "Not for her. There is a difference." When the envoy returns, Tywin reads the reply without blinking. So he muses. "The boy has spine. Good, I respect that. What now?" Kevin asks. Tywin's voice drops, cold as iron. "Now we make them bleed for every inch. We make the cost so high, they beg for peace. This is no longer a rebellion. This is total war, the kind that ends dynasties." The armies collide at the God's Eye, the largest body of water in the Riverlands. It is the perfect battlefield, simply because there is nowhere to hide. Tywin commands from the center with 50,000 men. They are perfectly positioned, terrifyingly disciplined. Against him, Robb and Daenerys attack from 2 fronts, north and south, wolf and dragon banners snapping in the wind together. At dawn, the world breaks. Dragoon leads the descent, diving from the clouds to breathe fire that turns plate steel into slag. Men don't just die, they scream and vanish. Rhaegal and Viserion follow three dragons attacking from three directions, sowing absolute chaos. But Tywin is prepared. His archers unleash a volley of scorpion bolts designed for exactly this moment, iron-tipped and poison-laced. One catches Viserion in the wing. The gold dragon shrieks, falling from the sky and crashing into the Lannister lines, crushing 50 men under his weight. Daenerys screams, feeling his pain as if it were her own. Above her, Dragon goes mad. Burns everything, friend. Foe, it doesn't matter. It is pure, unadulterated rage. Robb's cavalry smashes into the Lannister flank, Northern fury finally breaking Southern discipline. But Tywin has reserves. He has reinforcements. The battle devolves into a grind, meat and blood and dying slow. From the safety of Harrenhal, Tyrion watches, feeling useless and hating every moment. He realizes this isn't war, it's slaughter. By afternoon, 40,000 men lie dead or dying. Both sides are broken, both sides are bleeding. Tywin retreats west. Daenerys pulls back to Harrenhal. Robb holds the field, but there is no victor here. Just survivors. Viserion lives, but barely. His wing is shattered, healing agonizingly slowly. Daenerys tends to him personally, singing Valyrian lullabies through her tears, whispering apologies to the beast. "I'm sorry," she weeps. "I'm so sorry." Jorah finds her there at midnight, still awake. "You can't blame yourself," he says softly. Softly. "I brought them to war," she counters. "They are weapons, Khaleesi. Fire-given wings. But they're also your children. You couldn't leave them caged." She looks at him. Really looks at him. "I almost lost him, but you didn't. He survived. You all did. How many more will we lose before this ends?" Jorah doesn't answer. Can't. The honest answer would break her. Back in the capital, Joffrey demands victory, unable to comprehend the concept of a tactical retreat. "Father is retreating?" "Why? We have more men." "We have fewer men," Tyrion corrects him, exhausted. 40,000 fewer after today. "Then get more," the king screams. Tyrion looks at his nephew with grim finality. From where? The Reach is committed. The North hates us. The Riverlands burn. Where exactly do I find more soldiers? Joffrey strikes him across the face hard enough to split his lip, hard enough to coat his teeth in blood. Tyrion's hand instinctively drifts to the dagger at his belt, his fingers brushing the hilt, but he freezes. Not yet. Not here. From the sidelines, Cersei watches in silence. She says nothing, but her eyes betray her. She has seen the reports. She knows the truth that the rest of the court is ignoring. They are losing. That night, she visits Tyrion's chambers. There are no guards, no armor, no pretense of power, just a terrified mother. "We need to talk," she says, honestly. "Since when do we do that?" Tyrion asks, wiping the dried blood from his lip. "Since the alternative is extinction," she pours 2 cups of wine Lannister gold, now tasting like vinegar, and hands him one. "Father is dying," she admits, her voice trembling. "His army is broken. And Joffrey, ... Joffrey is a monster. I see it now. It's too late. But I see it. What do you want, Cersei?" "I want Myrcella and Tommen safe. Whatever happens to me, whatever happens to Joffrey, they are innocent." Tyrion studies his sister, looking past the cruelty and the scheming. For the first time in years, he sees genuine fear. "I'll try," he promises. "That's all I ask." When she leaves, Tyrion drinks alone. His mind drifts to lions, to family, and to the inevitable realization of how everything ends. Tywin Lannister fortifies the city, preparing for a siege he knows he cannot win. He waits, hoping for a mistake that will never come. He knows Daenerys is on her way, and he knows Robb Stark will follow. He can't win. He can only make them pay for the victory. Then, Kevin brings the final nail in the coffin. The Dornish have declared for Daenerys. Of course they have. Tywin scoffs. Oberyn still wants vengeance for Ilya, and Daenerys is Rhaegar's sister. That's another 20,000 men, Kayvon warns. 20,000 untested spears, Tywin counters, dismissive. They haven't fought a real war in generations. Neither had the Northmen before this, Kevin reminds him quietly. Look how that turned out. Tywin offers a thin, bitter smile. I am 67 years old, he says, the weight of a lifetime in his voice. I have spent 50 years building House Lannister into the greatest power in Westeros, and it is ending because my grandson was cruel and my daughter was blind. What will you do? What I always do, Tywin replies, turning back to his maps. Fight, win, or die trying. He writes letters to allies, to enemies, to anyone who will listen. He offers terms, concessions, wealth, anything to split the alliance arrayed against him. Some accept, most don't. The world has decided. The lions are finished. 3 great armies converge on King's Landing like a noose tightening. From the north rides Robb Stark with 25,000 men, Grey Wind stalking at his side. From the south come the Dornish spears, 15,000 strong, led by Oberyn Martell, thirsting for vengeance. And from the east, Daenerys Targaryen commands 15,000 sellswords, with 3 dragons circling overhead. 55,000 men against Tywin's last, desperate 10,000. Inside the walls, the city starves. The gold cloaks desert their posts. The small folk riot in the streets. Joffrey demands they fight. He demands victory. He demands miracles. Instead, Cersei gives him poison. It is not an act of love, but of cold necessity. She realizes her monster son is the anchor dragging them all to the bottom. She announces the death herself to the court. The king is dead, she proclaims, her face a mask of grief. Poisoned by traitors, and predictably, she blames Tyrion. It is always Tyrion. He flees, finding salvation in Varys and the spiderweb of secret tunnels beneath the city. Where will you go? Varys asks as they reach the water's edge. Daenerys Tyrion decides. Maybe she'll listen to reason. Or, Varys notes dryly, she will burn you alive. Tyrion laughs, a hollow sound in the dark. Honestly? At this point, either option sounds fine. Outside, the end has arrived. Daenerys lands before the gates of King's Landing, and Dragon's shadow swallows the walls. She speaks, her voice carried by Missandei's magic to every corner of the trembling city. I am Daenerys Targaryen, rightful queen of the 7 kingdoms. Open your gates, bend your knees, spare yourselves. For a moment there is only a suffocating silence, and then the bells, pealing out across the capital, ringing not for a wedding, but for surrender. High in the Red Keep, Cersei Lannister watches the end of her world. Tommen stands at her side, oblivious, while Myrcella is hidden away in the sept. What do we do? The boy asks.
Pass.
Cersei grips his hand, her face a mask of stone. We survive. She walks to the throne room and climbs the steps of the Iron Throne one last time. When Daenerys finally breaches the doors, dragons shrieking outside, the city secured, she finds Cersei waiting. Not fleeing, not fighting, just waiting. You won, Cersei states flatly. I did. What now? Daenerys looks at this woman. She sees Rhaegar's enemy, Robert's widow, the mother of monsters. But she also sees a mother. You live, Daenerys decides. Your children live. But you leave. Tonight, forever. Cersei blinks, the unexpected leniency hitting harder than a blow. That's merciful. I am not my father. Cersei leaves broken, exiled, but alive. Tywin Lannister follows the Targaryen victory by only 3 days. It isn't a sword that kills him, but heart failure, simple old age. In the end, the lion's last roar is silenced not by battle, but by time itself. Daenerys finally sits upon the throne her ancestors forged. It is uncomfortable, it is ugly, but it is necessary. Robb Stark enters the hall. He walks not as a warden, but as a northern king, an independent ruler. Your Grace, he nods. Lord Stark. We had an agreement, Robb reminds her, the tension in the room spiking. The North remains independent. She considers him. She thinks of the years of war, the mountains of dead, all for thrones and crowns and injured pride. The North is yours, she says finally. Rule it well. But we remain allies, always allies. Robb smiles, a look of genuine relief and gratitude. I can live with that. They shake hands. Wolf and dragon, new era begins. Outside, the dragons circle in victory and the people cheer. Hope, it seems, has returned. But in the shadows, others plot, others wait, others remember. The Game of Thrones doesn't end, simply changes players. Daenerys rules, Robb rules. Stannis serves as Hand of the King fair, just and unyielding. The realm begins to rebuild, slowly and carefully, terrified to break again. Years pass, the dragons grow. The peace holds barely. But then winter comes. True winter. The long night. And suddenly, nothing they have fought for matters anymore, because the dead are coming. And the dead do not care about thrones. Consider this. What if Khal Drogo had loved her instantly? She would have burned with the Khalasar. She would have died in the Red Waste. She never would have learned to fly. Instead, rejection forged steel, made her earn every inch of her destiny. Sometimes the things that break us are the very things that make us unbreakable. That is our theory on how history could have changed. Westeros is a land full of infinite stories. If you want to accompany us on this journey, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel.